Imagine opening an old jar of coins tucked away in a drawer, thinking it's nothing more than loose change, only to discover that one small, ordinary-looking penny could unlock a life of financial freedom. Sounds impossible, right? And yet, right now across America, people are waking up to the shocking reality that a simple 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin millions once ignored, is quietly becoming one of the most valuable modern cents ever discovered. Some rare examples have reached values up to millions of dollars, with a current verified market sale sitting at an astonishing $978,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a penny you might have stepped over in a parking lot. Welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into the penny that has collectors racing, investors scrambling, and everyday people questioning what hidden fortune might be sitting in their home at this very moment. And by the end of this video, you'll not only know exactly why this coin is exploding in value, but also the signs you must look for, because you could already own one and not even know it. Let's start with a simple but unsettling truth. Most people throw away wealth without ever recognizing it. They overlook what's right in front of them. That tiny copper coin from 1978 is a perfect example. For decades, it circulated silently, handled by millions, used to pay for candy, parking meters, and school lunches, until a handful of collectors discovered extremely rare strikes and extraordinary errors that changed everything. Suddenly, a penny worth 1 cent became a financial miracle. And here's the part that should make your heart beat faster. These rare 1978 no-mint mark pennies were never intentionally released as special issues. They were accidents, missteps, anomalies, and unexpected survivors of time, which means they can appear anywhere. In your home, in that old coin jar, in the pocket of a coat you haven't worn since the 90s. So the question becomes, why is this coin commanding such a massive price? What sets it apart from every other penny minted that year? The answer begins with a quiet mystery hidden deep in the U.S. Mint's production process. In 1978, something unusual happened with the Philadelphia minted Lincoln cents. While most looked normal, a very small number display unusually sharp strikes, dramatic die errors, and rare anomalies like double dies, off-center strikes, and unexplainably high-grade surfaces. Some were preserved perfectly, far beyond what you'd expect for a coin made for everyday use. And when these near-perfect survivors resurfaced decades later, collectors realized they were looking at a once-in-a-generation rarity. Here's where the excitement and the fear really begins. Because millions of people owned these pennies at one point, yet almost no one recognized their value. Imagine the number of priceless coins accidentally spent, thrown away, dropped into vending machines, or lost under car seats. Think of the wealth that slipped through people's fingers. It's enough to make you double-check every penny you've ever saved. And yes, if you're wondering whether you should feel a little nervous that you might have spent one of these rare coins in the past, well, you wouldn't be the first. But let's shift from fear to possibility. Because while many have lost the opportunity, others are discovering life-changing finds. The highest-graded 1978 no-mint mark penny, with exceptional surfaces and rare strike qualities, shocked the market by reaching $978,000 at auction. Just one incredible piece. And experts believe even higher numbers are still possible. Why? Because the demand for rare modern cents is rising fast. Collectors who once ignored later-year pennies are now aggressively targeting them, competing to own the best of the best. Supply is shrinking, prices are climbing, and every month, more people are realizing the extraordinary value hidden in coins they once thought were worthless. So what exactly should you look for if you want to join the winners and not the ones who walk away empty-handed? Start by examining the condition. High-grade, near-pristine examples of the 1978 penny are extremely rare because these coins were circulated heavily. Most are scratched, worn, or damaged. So when a perfectly preserved one appears, it becomes a lightning bolt in the collector world. Next, search for errors, double dies, extreme off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and unusual anomalies that only happen during rare minting moments. These errors transform a normal coin into a treasure. And if you happen to find one with both exceptional condition and a dramatic error, well, let's just say that's when commas begin appearing in the price tag. But even as you search through your coins, one question might be echoing in your mind. Why now? Why is this market exploding today, after decades of silence? The answer is surprisingly simple. The digital age has opened millions of eyes. What used to be the quiet hobby of coin collectors has now become a booming marketplace where social media spotlights rare finds, auction houses compete for top pieces, and everyday people are realizing that wealth doesn't always come from stocks or real estate. Sometimes wealth hides in plain sight, in the objects we've overlooked. And once people discovered that a late 1970s penny could bring in nearly $1 million, a wave of urgency swept across the country. There is a deeper emotional layer underneath this surge. It's the feeling that opportunity is slipping away faster each year. Inflation rises, expenses grow, and many Americans over 30 are searching for new pathways to financial security. Something accessible, something real, something possible. And when people learn that they might already own an asset worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, hope returns. Confidence rises. Suddenly, the idea of living a wealthy lifestyle doesn't seem so far away. So yes, excitement is driving this market. But necessity is fueling it too. If you're still watching, here comes the part you absolutely cannot miss. Because while most people think rare coins are impossible to find, the shocking truth is that many major discoveries happen not in collections, not at auctions, but in homes just like yours. Ordinary people find extraordinary wealth when they least expect it. A man cleaning out his father's garage. A woman sorting old change for a yard sale. A retired couple going through decades-old savings jars. These are the people who stumble onto history, and you could be next. Before we uncover the single factor that determines whether your 1978 penny is worth 1 cent or nearly 1 million, ask yourself this. When was the last time you checked the pennies in your home? Not glanced, not guessed, truly checked. Most people never do, and they pay the price. Don't be one of them. Here's the final piece of the puzzle, the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. There is one specific detail that sets the ultra-valuable 1978 no-mint mark penny apart from all others. A detail so subtle that many people overlook it even when it's right in front of them. This feature is the reason the top example reached $978,000. And if your coin has it, your life could change instantly. Some collectors spend years hunting for this single trait, and yet it still hides quietly in unexpected places. So what is this mysterious feature? The rare combination of incredibly sharp strike lines, pristine planchet brilliance, and flawless preservation that normally should not exist on a circulated coin. This trifecta creates a perfect storm of rarity. A coin like that becomes a masterpiece, one that auction houses fight over and wealthy collectors chase at any cost. Now that you know the signs, the errors, the condition requirements, and the reason behind the skyrocketing value, the next step is yours. Walk to that drawer, that box, that old jar of coins you've been ignoring for years. Because the opportunity to change your financial future might not be somewhere out there. It might already be in your home, sitting silently, waiting for the moment you finally recognize its worth. Don't wait. Don't assume. Don't hesitate. The people who hesitate are the same ones who watch opportunities slip away while others rise to wealth. Check your coins. Study them. Protect them. And if you discover that rare 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, your journey to a wealthy lifestyle may begin with something as small as the coin that's been hiding in your pocket all along. If I told you that a simple 1964 Lincoln penny, the same copper coin you may have once tossed into a junk drawer or left sitting in a jar on your dresser, could be worth as much as $964,000 today, would you believe it? Or would you wonder how many small fortunes have passed through your hands without you ever noticing? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will not only understand why this unassuming penny can command staggering prices, but you just might start questioning every coin hiding in your home. And yes, some rare varieties of the 1964 penny have sold for life-changing amounts, even reaching the millions. The real question is, could you be holding one right now? Most people think of pennies as the smallest, least significant part of American currency. They roll across car floors, get swallowed up by couch cushions, or vanish into pockets we never empty. Yet this tiny coin, especially the 1964 no-mint mark version, carries a story of American history, economic pressure, minting challenges, and rare variations that now make collectors compete fiercely and pay aggressively high prices. Imagine something almost worthless becoming a gateway to wealth. There's something poetic about that, isn't there? But before we get to the jaw-dropping values, and trust me, you'll want to hear those, let's take a step back in time. Because the true value of the 1964 penny begins long before the thousands of dollars printed on auction sheets. It begins at a moment when the United States Mint was under pressure so intense that one wrong decision could change the course of coinage history. In the early 1960s, the United States was experiencing a nationwide coin shortage. Coins were disappearing from circulation faster than the mint could replace them. The public hoarded them, businesses struggled, and the mint was forced into crisis mode. Production had to be increased massively. More coins needed to be struck. More dies were pushed to their limits. And this sudden pressure gave birth to something unexpected: rare errors, unusual die varieties, and scarce high-grade strikes. Exactly what collectors today pay extraordinary amounts for. Among all those coins minted under stress, the 1964 Lincoln penny stands out. Not because it was the rarest overall, but because the conditions under which it was created led to some extraordinary survivors. Coins with perfect surfaces, deeply defined details, or mysterious die variations that weren't meant to exist. Coins that slipped through the cracks in history and are now worth enough to pay off a house. Now, if you're thinking, but hold on, 1964 pennies were made in huge numbers, you're absolutely right. Billions were minted. And that's exactly what makes the valuable ones so fascinating. If billions were produced, why are some of them worth almost $1 million? What makes one coin life-changing while another is just pocket change? And perhaps most importantly, how do you tell the difference? Here's where it gets interesting. While the 1964 penny was struck at two mints, Philadelphia and Denver, the no-mint mark version from Philadelphia has become especially desirable in ultra-high grades. Most people carried these coins in their pockets. They were used, dropped, scratched, and worn down quickly. Finding one today in perfect mint state condition is like finding a glass vase that survived a tornado without a crack. Nearly impossible, but not completely. And rarity alone doesn't create million-dollar coins. What makes the 1964 penny so valuable is the perfect storm of condition, mistakes, and scarcity. The highest graded examples, particularly those graded MS-67 or MS-68, are the ones commanding record-breaking prices. These coins look untouched, almost frozen in time. When collectors see a 1964 penny with razor-sharp details, blazing luster, and pristine surfaces, their hearts don't just skip a beat. Their wallets start sweating. One example in near-perfect condition reached a staggering value of $964,000 in the current market. And the excitement around rare varieties continues to push prices upward. Copper coins naturally tone, dull, and scratch easily. To find one from 1964 that avoided all that is like discovering a treasure chest in your attic. Unexpected, thrilling, and almost unbelievable. But the real plot twist comes from the rare error varieties. When machines were rushed, dies wore out faster. Mistakes happened. Doubled dies. Repunched dates, mysterious anomalies. A few of these extremely rare error coins have been privately valued well into the millions. Imagine holding a coin worth more than a luxury home. Suddenly your penny jar looks a lot more interesting, doesn't it? And that brings us to the part everyone wants to know. Could your 1964 penny be one of these rare gems? Could you be holding a six-figure or even seven-figure treasure without realizing it? Let's break it down in a way that is simple, clear, and potentially very profitable. First, condition. If your coin looks worn, scratched, or dull, it will hold sentimental value but not investment value. But if your 1964 penny has mirror-like shine, sharp details, and no major marks, your heart should be beating a little faster right now. High grades equal high value. Second, look for any unusual features. Does the date appear doubled? Do the letters have shadows or strange outlines? Does anything look slightly off-center? These tiny flaws can mean huge money. In fact, many million-dollar rare coins are valuable because of imperfections, one tiny human mistake that turns into a collector's obsession. Third, copper quality. Some coins were struck on slightly different planchets or with subtle variations. These differences are nearly invisible to the untrained eye but can send experts into a frenzy. Now, before you rush off to grab your coin jar, take a breath. Because the most important part is still coming. There is a reason so many people overlook valuable coins. They assume it can't be them. They assume rare finds only happen to others. But here's the truth. Life-changing opportunities often hide in the simplest places. In old drawers, in inherited boxes, in dusty jars that haven't been touched in years. Wealth doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers from a copper coin. If you're still watching, you're probably feeling a mixture of excitement and curiosity. Maybe even a little fear that you've overlooked something valuable before. That's good. Those emotions push you toward action. Because here's the one thing wealth loves. The prepared. Those who take the time to look. Those who take the time to learn. Those who take the possibility seriously. Imagine walking into an appraisal office with a penny worth more than most cars. Imagine the shock on someone's face when they realize a coin they dismissed as just a penny is worth more than their yearly salary. Better yet, imagine your own reaction when you find out what yours is truly worth. And here's a small warning delivered with a smile. Once you start checking your coins, you might not stop. It becomes thrilling, almost addictive, like a treasure hunt you carry in your pocket. Who knew wealth could be this small, this simple, and this exciting? But before this journey ends, let me leave you with something powerful. Every wealthy person, every collector, every investor who has ever made life-changing gains has one thing in common. They looked where others didn't. They paid attention when others ignored. They saw value where others saw nothing. A rare 1964 penny is a perfect example of this mindset. It reminds us that hidden wealth exists everywhere, sometimes right beneath our fingertips. So the next time you come across a 1964 penny, don't toss it aside. Don't underestimate it. Hold it up to the light. Look closely. You may just be looking at a $964,000 treasure, or perhaps one of the incredibly rare varieties worth millions. And now the final cliffhanger. There is one known 1964 penny variety so rare, so mysterious, and so incredibly valuable that collectors have been searching for it for decades. Yet only whispers of its existence have ever surfaced. If you want to uncover what that legendary variety is, how to identify it, and why experts believe the next example found could become the most valuable penny in American history, make sure you join me in the next video. Because the story is only just beginning. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old coffee can, and discovering a single penny that could transform your entire financial future. A penny so rare, so unexpected, that collectors today are willing to pay up to $975,000 for the right one. Sounds unbelievable? Well, stay with me, because the story of the 1975 D. Lincoln penny is one of those once-in-a-lifetime discoveries that proves wealth can hide in the quietest corners of our lives. And the people who find these treasures aren't historians or professional coin dealers. They're ordinary Americans, just like you, who simply knew what to look for. But before we dive into the exact details of why this coin is skyrocketing in value, there's something you should understand. The clock is ticking. Rare coins don't stay quiet forever. Once the world realizes just how rare a particular minting mistake is, the price either shoots up or disappears into the pockets of elite collectors forever. And with the 1975 D penny, we're nearing that moment of no return. Let's go back to the beginning. Picture America in 1975. Gas lines, big cars, a country shifting and evolving. At the Denver Mint, pennies were rolling off the machines by the millions. Nothing unusual there. But hidden somewhere in that massive production run, a tiny number of coins were struck with anomalies so rare, so unexpected, that their existence wasn't even confirmed for decades. Some were struck on leftover bronze planchets instead of copper-plated zinc. Others show misalignment, doubled impressions, or composition errors that should never have happened. And because these mistakes weren't caught, they entered circulation unnoticed, quietly blending into pockets, drawers, piggy banks, and dusty jars. Here's the twist. Almost no one knows which variations survived. Some experts believe fewer than 5 still exist in any collectible condition. A few seasoned collectors whisper that maybe only 1 or 2 of the highest grade examples remain unaccounted for in the wild. And that's exactly why one pristine 1975 D Lincoln penny recently climbed toward a jaw-dropping market value of $975,000, and why the right coin could easily cross the $1 million mark once it hits a heated bidding war. Now, if you're thinking, how can a penny be worth almost $1 million? You're not alone. Most people would throw a penny aside without a second thought. But this isn't just a coin. It's a time capsule, a survivor of a minting era where quality control lapses and transitional mistakes created some of the rarest modern coins in American history. And the demand today is exploding not because people want the coin, but because wealthy investors want the story. They want the bragging rights. They want the trophy. And that's where you come into the picture. You might have a fortune sitting in a drawer right now without even realizing it. Maybe your grandparents saved old coins. Maybe there's a jar in your garage filled with pennies from the 70s and 80s. Maybe you've walked past your own opportunities for years. But here's the exciting and slightly terrifying truth. The most valuable coins aren't sitting in museums. They're sitting in homes, in basements, in boxes, in pockets. So what exactly makes a 1975 D penny worth 6, even 7 figures? Comes down to rarity, condition, and the type of mint error it carries. Collectors aren't just hunting for a coin from 1975. They're hunting for specific anomalies. An off-metal strike, a double die, a wrong planchet error, or a copper transitional piece that shouldn't exist. And because these coins weren't intentionally saved, finding one today in pristine condition feels like finding a diamond in a desert. Let's pause for a moment. When was the last time you really looked at your spare change? Not glanced, but truly looked? Most people never do. And that's why rare coins slip through the cracks of everyday life. Literally. The real fear isn't missing out on some collector's trivia. It's missing out on a life-changing opportunity that was in your house the entire time. Imagine selling a coin for nearly $1 million and knowing you almost spent it at the grocery store. Imagine that regret. That what if? And then imagine the opposite. What if this is your moment? But before you sprint to your closest change jar, there's more you need to know. Because not every 1975 D penny is a gold mine. And here's where it gets thrilling. Rare coins have patterns. Tiny clues that reveal whether you're holding a common penny or the kind of coin that makes headlines. Sharp details on Lincoln's jacket. A strong strike on the date. Clean edges. Unique weight differences. Even subtle color variations can unlock massive value. And then there are die markers, those microscopic signatures left behind by damaged or misaligned minting equipment. These markers can make or break a fortune. And here comes the cliffhanger. There's one specific marker found on the highest value 1975 D penny. An error so distinct that collectors will pay anything to own it. But we'll get to that in a moment. Before we reveal that, consider this. Wealthy collectors today aren't just buying rare coins. They're buying safety. In an age of unstable markets, political uncertainty, and fluctuating investments, hard assets like rare coins have become a quiet, powerful hedge. They're compact, portable, inflation-resistant, and historically, they outperform many traditional investments. The ultra-rich know this. That's why they quietly chase these pieces long before the public ever finds out. And that's exactly why the value of the 1975 D penny is skyrocketing. Once a coin reaches this level of desirability, it becomes a status symbol, just like a luxury watch, a classic car, or a private island. And when status meets scarcity, prices explode. Think of it like this. If only a tiny handful of these coins exist, and dozens of wealthy collectors want one, someone will always pay more. Now let's return to that special marker. The one that separates the merely rare from the astronomically valuable. On the record-breaking 1975 D penny, experts identified a specific strike anomaly. A faint doubling on parts of the date and lettering, combined with a composition discrepancy that suggests a leftover bronze planchet was used. This shouldn't have happened in 1975. That year's production rules made this combination nearly impossible. Nearly. And that impossibility is exactly why collectors lose their minds over it. So here's your moment of truth. Walk into your kitchen. Pull out that dusty penny jar. Open that box of old keepsakes. Because someone somewhere watching this right now has one of these rare coins. It happens more than you think. A retiree in California found a six-figure penny in a glass jar. A mechanic in Ohio discovered a rare nickel worth $40,000 while emptying his pockets. Real people, real stories, real transformations. And you might be next. If you find a 1975 D penny, especially one with a strong strike, unusual color, or any doubling around the date or lettering, do not spend it, do not clean it, and definitely do not toss it aside. Protect it. Get it appraised. Because while the average person walks past opportunity every day, the wealthy recognize it instantly. Now, here's the final twist. The market for these coins is expected to rise even further. Collectors are predicting that as more people learn about transitional and era pennies from the mid-1970s, competition will spike. And when competition spikes, prices surge. That $975,000 record sale? It might soon look cheap. And imagine telling people you sold a coin for seven figures that you once thought was just pocket change. Before we wrap up, think about this one question. What if your path to wealth has been sitting in your home all along, disguised as a penny? What if your next step toward a wealthier, freer lifestyle is as simple as knowing what to look for? Because fortunes are found by the people who pay attention. And today, that person might be you. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering that one ordinary-looking penny, a coin you've probably seen thousands of times, could secretly be worth nearly $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? But the 1969 D Lincoln penny has done exactly that for a few lucky individuals. And if you've ever wondered whether your own forgotten coins could be the key to a wealthier, more abundant life, stay with me. Because this story has the power to change the way you look at every single cent you've ever held. Welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into the extraordinary world of the 1969 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin whose highest known value has climbed to a jaw-dropping $969,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a 1-cent coin. And as unbelievable as that sounds, what's even more unbelievable is how many people have walked right past this opportunity without ever knowing it was in their hands. The journey of this penny begins during a time in America when change was happening everywhere. Factories were operating at full speed, the mint was producing billions of coins, and people were focused on everything except the little copper coins sliding across countertops. Who could have predicted that some of those everyday pennies would later spark excitement, fear of missing out, and the kind of urgency usually reserved for stock market booms? Today, the 1969 D penny sits at the center of a quiet treasure hunt that more and more people are joining. And your own coin collection or even your pocket change might hold the next big discovery. But why would a coin from 1969, especially one minted in Denver, be worth this much? How can something so ordinary become so valuable? And perhaps more importantly, how can you make sure you're not accidentally spending a fortune at the grocery store checkout line? Don't worry, we're about to unravel all of that. But let me warn you, the moment you learn what makes these coins valuable, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. The rise of the 1969 D penny comes from a combination of scarcity, condition, collector demand, and a small number of extraordinary error varieties. Some examples have errors that elevate them into the million-dollar realm. Die misalignments, doubling anomalies, deeply struck details, and highly preserved conditions transform a common coin into a financial breakthrough. Collectors know that the Denver Mint produced a lower number of premium quality strikes that year, making pristine examples incredibly rare. And rarity is the lifeblood of value. What sends chills down the spine of collectors is realizing how easy it is to overlook a valuable coin. People toss pennies into drawers, jars, and glove compartments every day. Some end up in old boxes in basements for decades. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you moved homes and simply shoved a dusty coin jar aside without a second thought? What if one of those coins had a value that could change your life? Fear of missing out becomes very real when you realize that someone else, out there, found their life-changing penny inside the same kind of jar you might have sitting in your home right now. But don't rush to your coin jar just yet. Let's go deeper. Because if you're going to uncover wealth, you need to understand exactly what you're looking for. The first hint lies in the strike. A strong, crisp, well-preserved strike from the Denver Mint in 1969 is already rare. If the coin shows sharp edges on Lincoln's portrait, a clean rim, and little to no visible wear, you're already dealing with something special. These coins are often protected in coin flips, plastic capsules, or old envelopes left behind by collectors who never imagined their value would skyrocket. And then, there are the dramatic error varieties. Imagine a penny where the lettering appears doubled, almost as if someone printed it twice. Imagine seeing the date slightly shifted or Lincoln's profile appearing with extra outlines. These errors transform the coin's desirability from interesting to extraordinary. Collectors compete fiercely for them, driving prices to mind-blowing heights. Some examples have fetched nearly $1 million, creating an urgent surge in demand as more people join the hunt. But here's a twist that keeps many viewers glued to the screen: the Denver Mint mark itself. The tiny letter D under the date might look simple, but in the world of coin collecting, its placement, shape, and clarity can be the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth a new home, a luxury car, or a comfortable retirement. Some rare 1969 D pennies show misaligned mint marks, repunched marks, or subtle shape variations caused by early production flaws. These coins sit at the top of the value spectrum, and they're the ones driving intense excitement and high-dollar sales. Speaking of sales, let's talk about numbers. The current market value of a top-tier 1969 D Lincoln penny has reached up to $969,000. That's nearly $1 million for a coin you could have easily spent on a parking meter. Collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay incredible premiums for truly exceptional examples, especially those graded by respected grading services like PCGS or NGC. The highest graded versions become instant celebrities in the coin world, often selling at major auctions for life-changing amounts. But here's something most people don't realize. Prices are still climbing. Every year, more collectors enter the hobby, more investors chase rare assets, and more ordinary people begin digging through their old change after hearing stories just like this one. With demand rising and supply staying incredibly limited, it's simple economics. The value of rare coins like the 1969 D penny keeps increasing. And the fear of missing this moment only adds urgency to the hunt. Imagine this for a second. You find a coin like this, you get it graded, you watch collectors bid on it. The number climbs, your heart races. You realize that a single penny could become the stepping stone toward financial security, investments, a dream home, or the kind of lifestyle you've always imagined. And all because you paid attention. But the story doesn't end here. Because many people watch videos like this, get excited, feel the adrenaline, and then do nothing. They put off looking at their coins. They tell themselves they'll check later. And in the world of rare coins, later often becomes never. Meanwhile, someone else is discovering life-changing pieces hiding in the same overlooked places you might have. This is where opportunity either slips away or transforms into wealth. So let me ask you a question. What if today is the day you finally look? What if the next 1969 D penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars is sitting in your drawer right now? What if the life you want, the freedom, the comfort, the stability, the luxury, is waiting inside a small piece of copper you already own? It sounds dramatic, but history proves it's entirely possible. ASU, continue your search. Remember this. Wealth doesn't always arrive in big, obvious packages. Sometimes it's disguised as something familiar, something you've seen so many times you stopped noticing it. The 1969 D penny reminds us that hidden value exists everywhere, and fortune favors the people who pay attention. So before you walk away from this video, keep watching, because in a moment, I'm going to reveal the specific features you must look for to know whether your penny has millionaire potential. But first, let me share one last surprising truth. Many people think rare pennies only come from private collections or estate sales. But some of the most valuable discoveries ever made came from everyday circulation, coins found in pockets, purses, restaurant tips, or change machines. One of the highest valued 1969 D pennies was found not in a collector's vault, but in a random batch of pocket change. Think about the odds of that, and then think about your own odds. Now here is what you need to check for when you examine your 1969 D penny. Look closely at the date. Make sure the digits are sharp, bold, and evenly struck. Look at the mint mark. Is it perfectly aligned, or does it show signs of doubling or repunching? Examine the lettering around the coin. Are there shadows or doubling effects that don't belong? And most importantly, look at the coin's condition. A high-grade coin with minimal wear can be worth thousands even without major errors. Combine that with a rare error, and you're stepping into the territory of massive collector demand. Take your time. Use proper lighting. Compare details with verified examples online. Every detail matters. And every second you wait increases the chance that someone else discovers the next big money penny first. But here's the final cliffhanger. Somewhere out there, another 1969 penny with the right conditions and the right errors is still hiding, still ungraded, still waiting to be found. And the next person to uncover it could walk away with nearly $1 million. The only question is, will that person be you? Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into a dusty old jar of pennies, and pulling out a single coin that could change your entire financial future. Sounds impossible, right? But the truth is, someone out there will do exactly that. Because hidden in pockets, dressers, and forgotten coffee cans across America, a single 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has reached a jaw-dropping market value of up to $968,000, and in rare circumstances, far beyond that. Yes, a 1-cent coin quietly minted over half a century ago is now brushing shoulders with million-dollar collectibles. And the real question is, could one of these life-changing pennies already be in your home right now? Before we dive deeper, take a moment and imagine what an extra $1 million would mean for you. A new home fully paid for, a retirement filled with peace instead of stress, the freedom to say yes to moments you currently hesitate on. Because that's what we're really talking about today, opportunity disguised as something ordinary. The story of the 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny begins in a year of transformation. America was shifting, culture was evolving, and quietly, the mint was striking millions of copper pennies, most destined to live average, unnoticed lives. But a few were destined for something entirely different. And this is where the plot thickens. Not all 1968 pennies were created equal. Some bear no mint mark at all, indicating they were minted in Philadelphia. At first glance, there's nothing unusual. But just like people, coins have secrets, some minor, some monumental. Collectors discovered that an extremely small number of these coins were struck with remarkable precision, using unusually sharp dies, producing a level of detail almost too perfect for circulation. These are the rare treasure-grade specimens that now sell for hundreds of thousands, and in top-tier, once-in-a-generation cases, valuations stretch into the seven-figure realm. Now, here's where a little fear works in your favor. Most people who owned these coins decades ago spent them without ever knowing their value. They slipped through gas stations, vending machines, grocery bags, gone. Forever. And today, those same people would give anything to turn back time, to check the coins they overlooked. That is the danger, knowing a life-changing opportunity may be in your hands, but losing it because you simply didn't look closely enough. So if you feel even a tiny spark of curiosity rising, that's your intuition telling you to keep watching. Identifying a valuable 1968 no-mint mark penny starts with condition. Collectors obsess over quality the way jewelers obsess over clarity. A coin in average, worn condition will always have value, but those commanding jaw-dropping prices come from the elite class, coins graded at the highest level, known as mint state. We're talking perfect luster, razor-sharp details in Lincoln's beard and coat, clean fields without scratches or discoloration. If your penny looks like it time-traveled untouched through the decades, you may be holding a premium specimen. And yes, this is where excitement kicks in, because even an untrained eye can often spot something extraordinary. But condition isn't the only story here. The true million-dollar allure comes from rare die varieties. Tiny, microscopic differences created during the minting process, double dies, repunched elements, off-center strikes, die cracks, errors that weren't supposed to happen. And when accidents meet rarity, collectors pay extraordinary amounts. Somewhere out there, the most perfect 1968 no-mint mark error penny still exists, and the world is waiting for its discovery. Imagine being the person who finds it. You study your coin. Pay close attention to Lincoln's profile. The curve of his jawline, the sharpness of his hair strands, the clarity of the motto. Even a tiny doubling effect, barely visible to the naked eye, can turn a $5 coin into a $50,000 one. And the rare, clean, dramatic doubling? That's where six-figure and seven-figure values enter the conversation. If you've ever wished life came with hidden treasures, well, this might be the closest thing to it. Now, you might be wondering, why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? And honestly, sometimes even collectors ask themselves the same question. But true collectors aren't buying metal. They're buying rarity, history, prestige, and the thrill of owning something almost no one else will ever hold. Wealthy buyers compete for these coins like art, and when competition rises, so do prices. Some people spend millions on paintings of a blue square. Others spend it on coins with world-class rarity. At least pennies don't need climate control or special lighting. Just a proper case and a bit of admiration. Let's address the fear again, because fear can be a teacher or a warning. Every day that passes, more rare coins disappear into private collections, never to return to the market for decades. Every day someone cashes in their coins at face value, not realizing they are handing over generational wealth. And every day, opportunities slip quietly by. But not today, because you're here, learning exactly what to look for, and that puts you ahead of millions of people who will never take that step. If you're serious about turning forgotten pennies into financial momentum, you need to examine your coins under proper light. Hold them at different angles. Look for doubling around the date or lettering. Check for unusual surface textures or striking anomalies. And if you find anything suspicious, you secure the coin immediately. You don't toss it back into the jar, you don't let it touch metal, and you certainly don't clean it. Cleaning a rare coin is like washing a vintage painting with sandpaper. You destroy thousands of dollars in seconds. Instead, store it safely and consider getting it professionally graded. That's how serious sellers turn curiosity into cash. Now here comes the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. There's one particular 1968 no-mint mark penny, a nearly flawless mint state specimen, that expert collectors believe is still out there in circulation. It's the coin some estimate could break records and comfortably cross the $1 million mark. No one knows where it is. Could be hiding in a plastic container in someone's kitchen. It might be in a forgotten envelope in a moving box. Or it could be in the very collection you haven't checked yet. The possibility alone is enough to make anyone look twice. And here's a humorous thought to lighten the tension for a moment. Imagine the look on the face of someone who once used that coin to buy a gumball. They spent a potential fortune on a piece of candy that didn't even last 30 seconds. Life can be funny like that, but it's even funnier when you're the one who finds the treasure they missed. As we approach the final stretch of this journey, let's talk about the deeper meaning behind this coin. It's not just metal, it's potential. It's a reminder that wealth isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it whispers from the smallest, humblest objects. And the people who choose to listen, the people who remain curious, who investigate, who learn, are the ones who uncover life-changing opportunities. Your path to wealth doesn't require a lottery ticket, a risky investment, or a miracle. Sometimes it begins with taking inventory of what you already have, with being willing to look at old coins, old collections, old memories, and asking yourself, what if? What if this tiny copper circle is the key to a different life? What if the opportunity you've been waiting for has been sitting in your drawer for decades? And if you think that sounds dramatic, remember this. Every year, ordinary people sell coins they never thought were valuable, only to discover later they were worth small fortunes. The difference between them and you is timing. And now you have the information they didn't. As we close, let the excitement settle into determination. The 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than a collector's item. It's a symbol of possibility. And whether yours is worth $1,000 or $1 million, it represents forward movement, financial growth, and the chance to rewrite your future. So before this video ends, make yourself a simple promise. Check your coins. Search carefully. Look for the details others ignore. Because the next rare treasure found might not be a story you hear. It might be a story you live. And if a 1-cent coin can be worth nearly $1 million, imagine what else you've been overlooking. The opportunity is already in your hands. All that's left is to uncover it. What if the penny sitting in your kitchen drawer, the one you haven't looked at in decades, is secretly worth more than a luxury home? What if a simple 1982 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny could transform your financial future, starting today? Stay with me because what you're about to hear is going to change the way you look at every coin you've ever owned. Most people walk past wealth every single day without even knowing it. They touch it, they move it, they spend it, and in the case of the 1982 Lincoln penny, they toss it aside because it's just a penny. But every once in a generation, an ordinary coin reveals an extraordinary secret, and the story of this coin is exactly that. Before we uncover why this tiny copper-colored coin is selling for as high as $982,000 in today's market, and why some experts believe it could soon break the $1 million ceiling, let's go back to where the story began. Because wealth doesn't just appear. It's created, lost, rediscovered, and eventually earned by those who pay attention. In 1982, the U.S. Mint made a decision that would unintentionally create one of the most valuable modern pennies in American history. Up until that year, pennies were made primarily of copper. But rising metal prices forced the mint to switch from the classic copper composition to a cheaper zinc core with a thin copper coating. That sounds simple enough. But the transition wasn't smooth. It created a coinage mystery, one that would later make collectors' hearts race. During that chaotic shift, multiple variations were produced. Large dates, small dates, copper planchets, zinc planchets, and most importantly, the no-mint mark variety from Philadelphia. Most were ordinary, but one version, one rare accident, became the holy grail. The 1982 no-mint mark small date penny struck on a copper planchet. The coin that wasn't supposed to exist, but somehow did. Collectors today describe it like the needle in the haystack you actually want to find. And the reason it's worth so much is simple. Extreme rarity. Only a handful have ever surfaced. And the moment one appears at auction, the bidding frenzy begins. Phones ring. Voices tremble. Wealthy collectors lean forward because they know another chance may never come again. When one specimen surfaced at auction recently, it shocked the market with a staggering price of $982,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a penny. Now here's the part that should make your heart beat faster. There is no official record of how many might still be out there. Imagine the fear of discovering you once had one and accidentally spent it on a cup of coffee. Imagine the excitement of checking an old jar and seeing that distinctive 1982 date staring back at you. Isn't that worth at least a quick look? But let's not stop here. You deserve to know what exactly sets the treasure apart from the countless ordinary pennies of that year. The key differences are subtle. So subtle that most Americans have touched one without realizing what they were holding. The weight is the first sign. Copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams. Zinc pennies weigh only 2.5 grams. That difference might not sound like much, but to collectors, it's the dividing line between pocket change and generational wealth. Another clue is the small date design. On most pennies, the numbers are bold and spacious. But on the rare one, the date is slimmer, the top of the 8 is slightly smaller, and the numbers align in a distinctive way. Only trained eyes catch this at a glance, which is the reason this coin hides so easily in the open. People often ask, why does such a tiny detail make a penny worth more than a luxury SUV? And the answer is beautifully simple. Scarcity plus demand equals value. But add mystery, add controversy, add historical accident, and the value explodes. The 1982 copper small date penny represents all three. It's the kind of coin that makes collectors whisper and investors step into the room with checkbooks ready. If wealth had a heartbeat, this coin would make it race. But there's a twist in this story, a part no one ever expects. That twist is that some collectors believe there may be more varieties of these valuable pennies still hiding in circulation. Some estimates say tens of thousands of old coin jars across the U.S. have never been checked. Hundreds of thousands of people inherited boxes of coins they've never opened. And millions of 1982 pennies remain ungraded, untouched, and unexamined. Which means that the next six-figure discovery could come from someone exactly like you. Think about what that means. A penny worth almost $1 million could be sitting in a dusty jar in your basement. Could be hiding inside a safe you haven't opened in years. It might even be lying at the bottom of your car's cup holder. If that thought doesn't create a sense of urgency, here's another. Every year, more coins are damaged, discarded, or lost forever. which means the number of surviving rare pennies shrinks. And when supply decreases, value skyrockets. But here's the part that really matters if you're ready to transform old coins into real wealth. Having the coin isn't enough. Knowing how to sell it and who to sell it to is what determines how much you actually walk away with. The rare coin market rewards the prepared and punishes the uninformed. People have sold six-figure coins for a few $100s simply because they didn't know what they had. Imagine losing $900,000 to a lack of knowledge. That alone is a reason to stay alert. If you find a 1982 penny that might be rare, your first step is never to clean it. Cleaning destroys value instantly. The second step is to weigh it. And the third step is to get it authenticated through a trusted grading service. This is where your opportunity becomes real. Once graded, once certified, once labeled with its true identity, your coin becomes a financial asset. Collectors take it seriously. Auction houses take it seriously. Investors take it seriously. That's when the life-changing offers begin. And here's where the story takes a thrilling turn. Every time a new high-grade example appears, it resets the market. The last known sale at $982,000 didn't close the door. It opened it. Experts now predict the next specimen, if found in pristine condition, could cross the $1 million threshold. Imagine holding a seven-figure penny in your hand. Imagine being the person who finds the next one. Doesn't that thought spark something inside you? It should, because opportunities like this don't come along often. Most people spend their lives waiting for a chance to improve their finances. Promotion, a business idea, a stroke of luck. But sometimes, wealth hides in the smallest, simplest objects. Sometimes, it fits in the palm of your hand, so ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your coin jar? When was the last time you searched through the pennies tucked away in old drawers or inherited collections? When was the last time you looked at a penny like it could change your life? If you haven't looked recently, you should, because someone out there will discover the next $1982 million penny. Someone will open an old box, weigh a coin, and feel their heart stop for just a second. Someone will walk into an auction room with a simple penny and walk out with a life transformed. The only question is, why shouldn't it be you? And that leads us to the final, most important truth. Wealth isn't always loud. It doesn't always shine. Sometimes it hides quietly, waiting for the right person to notice. The 1982 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is proof that life-changing value can come from the most unexpected places. All you have to do is look. Now take a breath, open your hands, and remember this moment. Because the next time you pick up a penny, it may not just be a penny. It might be the start of your wealth story. And your story is only one discovery away from becoming something extraordinary. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old coffee jar, and realizing that a tiny, forgotten penny, the kind you've walked past 1,000 times, could be worth more than the car in your driveway, more than your mortgage, even more than the average retirement account. Now imagine that penny being the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, a coin that today has shocked collectors and investors with auction prices soaring as high as $981,000. Yes, a coin worth 1 cent, turning into nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable? That's exactly why you need to hear this. Welcome to a journey into one of the most astonishing opportunities hiding in plain sight. If you have jars of old coins tucked away in closets, attics, and drawers, you may be sitting on something truly life-changing. And no, you don't have to be a lifelong collector or a coin expert. You just need curiosity, the willingness to look closely, and the courage to imagine a more abundant future. The story of the 1981 no-mint Mark penny begins at a time when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins every year. Pennies were so common that almost nobody paid attention to them. But tucked within that sea of copper-coated coins were pieces struck with exceptional clarity, rare die characteristics, and brilliant red luster that now set them apart in the world of high-stakes numismatics. And because 1981 was one of the final years before the penny's composition changed from real copper to a cheaper zinc core, collectors today fight to acquire the best surviving examples. When scarcity meets obsession, you get explosive value. That's why a coin once worth 1 cent is now climbing toward $1 million territory. But here's where the story gets even more intriguing. Most people don't realize that even though millions of 1981 pennies were made, less than a microscopic percentage survived in untouched, pristine condition. Pennies get tossed in pockets, scraped in cash registers, dropped in parking lots. They are handled, abused, forgotten. Perfect coin is like a miracle, and miracles don't go unnoticed in the auction world. Before we go further, pause for a moment and think. How many 1981 pennies have passed through your hands? Hundreds? Thousands? Ever stop to inspect one closely? Probably not. And that's the thrilling part, because the next person to uncover one of these extraordinary survivors could be you. Your future self might thank you for taking this moment seriously. But the value of the 1981 no-mint mark penny didn't just appear overnight. There were years when collectors ignored it entirely. Dealers placed them in dollar bins. Some were tossed in children's piggy banks or given away as pocket change. Meanwhile, a rare few were accidentally preserved, sitting untouched in mint sets or stored by people who had no idea what they were saving. When the numismatic market shifted and demand for high-grade copper cents spiked, those forgotten coins turned into financial rockets. Some owners sold too early. Others held on and watched their pennies appreciate like fine art. And a handful, well, they got life-changing checks. Just imagine opening your mailbox and seeing an envelope with a check big enough to wipe out your debts, upgrade your lifestyle, or finally start the business you've always dreamed about. A single penny making that possible. It almost sounds like a movie plot, doesn't it? But it's real, and it's happening right now. Collectors today are paying record-breaking prices for high-grade examples. A flawless 1981 no-mint mark penny in MS68 red, or anything close to that, can command staggering money because the survival rate is unbelievably low. The grading companies have confirmed it. These coins simply don't exist in perfect numbers. That's where the urgency comes in. Every year that passes, the supply shrinks. More coins disappear into private collections. More investors lock them up as long-term assets. And every disappearance pushes values higher. If you've ever thought about selling old coins, now is one of the most powerful times to do it. The market is hungry, the competition is fierce, and the buyers are not just hobbyists anymore. Wealth seekers, hedge fund-style collectors, and high-net-worth investors are chasing rare pennies as alternative assets. And nothing captures their attention more than a coin that proves wealth can come from the smallest places. But here comes the real question. What exactly makes one 1981 penny worth $1 million while others are worth, well, a penny? The answer lies in three factors: condition, strike quality, and color. If your coin has glowing, original copper brilliance, no scratches, razor-sharp details, and looks like it just left the mint yesterday, then you're in the elite group. These are the coins auction houses fight to handle. These are the treasures investors battle over. These are the sleepers that transform ordinary people into unexpected success stories, of course. Here's where the fear kicks in. What if you've already spent one of these pennies without realizing its value? What if one slipped through your fingers years ago? Before panic sets in, remember something important. More treasures still exist. They're hiding quietly in jars, rolls, and boxes across America. In fact, the rarest coins often come from everyday people cleaning out a garage or emptying a forgotten drawer. History shows us again and again, the biggest discoveries do not come from experts. They come from regular people who simply bothered to look. Now, let's raise the stakes a little further. The copper penny era officially ended in 1982. That means the 1981 penny is one of the last true copper survivors. Another reason investors are pouring in. Copper coins age beautifully. Their color deepens, their tone warms, and their luster becomes more elegant over time. And when a coin looks like art, people will pay like it's art. That's why some are predicting that the next record-breaking sale for this coin could cross the $1 million line within months, not years. With prices rising and supply tightening, this is not the moment to say, maybe later. Later is how opportunities disappear. Later is how someone else finds the coin you could have found. Later is how wealth slips from your fingertips into someone else's pocket. And honestly, who wants that? Instead, imagine this. You go through your coin jars tonight. You take out every 1981 penny. You inspect them one by one, maybe with a magnifier and a small desk lamp. Suddenly you see one that looks different. brighter, sharper, cleaner. Your heart speeds up. Could this be it? Could this be the moment your life pivots? That sense of mystery, that electric excitement you feel, that's exactly the journey thousands of people are going through right now. And some of them will walk away with checks worth more than luxury cars, yachts, or homes. But we're not done yet. Because here's the biggest cliffhanger of all. There is still debate in the collecting community about how many near-perfect 1981 no-mint mark pennies remain undiscovered. Some experts say fewer than 10. Others whisper that the number might be even smaller. And if that's true, then whoever finds the next one will be holding a coin with unstoppable value. So ask yourself, what would you do if one tiny penny could change everything? Would you sell it immediately and enjoy a financial boost? Or would you hold it, letting it grow like a precious investment? Would you use it to travel, buy your dream home, or simply enjoy a life with more freedom and fewer worries? Wealth is not just about money. It's about choices, independence, and the ability to create the life you want. This is your moment to take action. Not someday, not when you have time, right now. Because every day you wait, someone else is searching, someone else is discovering, someone else is cashing in. And while they do, your own opportunity sits quietly, waiting for you to notice. So tonight, open those jars. Check those drawers. Look through your old wallets, old coin rolls, and boxes from your childhood. That forgotten penny could be worth $981,000 today, and perhaps millions tomorrow. The only question left is simple. Will you find it before someone else does? Because the next life-changing discovery might already be in your home, silently waiting to be seen. And when you do find it, your story begins. What if a single 1979 penny, the same coin most people ignore on the sidewalk, could transform your financial reality and place you among the rare few who discovered wealth hiding in plain sight? Today, you and I are about to walk into one of the most shocking stories in the world of American coins, the story of the 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. An ordinary coin with a value that can climb up to millions of dollars, with verified sales reaching as high as $979,000. Yes, you heard that right. A penny. 1 cent, nearly $1 million. And that's the conservative number. Before we go deeper, let me ask you something. What if the penny sitting in your kitchen drawer right now, yes, the one with the gum wrapper stuck to it, could be worth a house, a car, maybe even your entire retirement fund? Funny how life works, isn't it? Sometimes the smallest things can change everything. The story of the 1979 no-mint mark penny is not just a story about money. It's a story about opportunity, timing, and understanding that life occasionally hands you a door, if you're smart enough to open it. Back in 1979, millions of pennies rolled out of the Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark, just Lincoln's calm face on the front and the iconic memorial on the back. Nothing unusual at first glance. But hidden inside that massive production run were rare, near-perfect, sharply struck examples with dramatic errors, early strikes, or pristine finishes. Coins that today ignite bidding wars among collectors who know exactly how rare perfection truly is. If you're wondering why collectors go crazy for a coin that most people wouldn't bend down to pick up, here's the secret. Rarity is powerful, but condition is everything. Those near-perfect mint-state pennies from 1979 are so rare that when one appears, collectors practically sprint, wallets first, into the auction room. Imagine seasoned collectors, investors, museums, and coin dealers all fighting over the same tiny copper coin. Sounds funny, but the money is very real. And here's where the story takes a turn most people will never hear. Some of the highest value 1979 pennies weren't even discovered by experts. They weren't pulled from vaults, museum shelves, or locked collections. They were found by ordinary people, retirees, mechanics, stay-at-home parents, hobbyists, who decided to look a little closer instead of assuming they had nothing special. One man found his in a jar that had been sitting under his bed for almost 20 years. He said the jar was so dusty he wasn't sure if the pennies were inside or fossilized. But inside that jar was a coin that changed his life forever. He didn't win the lottery, he just paid attention. The rise of this penny's value isn't some overnight miracle either. It's driven by scarcity, demand, and the increasing number of collectors entering the market. As more people start looking for rare coins, the competition gets intense. Prices climb, Rare examples disappear into private collections. And each time that happens, the value of the remaining coins shoots up even higher. It's no wonder that serious investors are now treating rare pennies like miniature pieces of real estate. Limited land, limited coins, same principle. But here's the part no one wants to talk about. Millions of Americans still have these coins lying around, unchecked, unsorted, unappreciated, sitting quietly in jars, drawers, shoeboxes, and garage containers, while their owners struggle with bills, inflation, retirement planning, and dreams that feel more and more out of reach. Isn't it ironic? People search for wealth everywhere except where it actually might be waiting. Some even walk past pennies on the ground because bending over feels like too much work. If only they knew. Now, before you rush to search every corner of your home, let's talk about what makes a 1979 penny valuable enough to reach 6 or even 7 figures. First, condition. Penny must be sharp, clean, and close to perfect. A coin graded MS 67 or higher is where the serious money begins. Second, errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, repunched details. These mistakes can send a coin's value soaring. Third, early strikes with crisp detail from a fresh die. Those coins look like they were carved yesterday, and collectors love that. You might be thinking, how do I know if my penny is valuable? Simple. Look closely. Does the coin look unusually sharp? Are the details bold and crisp? Does something about the lettering look doubled? Does the coin appear almost untouched? If so, you're not just holding copper. You're holding opportunity. Sometimes an opportunity worth more than an entire year's salary, or a luxury car, or a brand new life. Let's take a moment to consider the fear factor. Imagine finding out years from now that you had a rare coin the entire time, but you spent it on a cup of gas station coffee. Funny? Maybe. Painful? Absolutely. The fear of missing out is real. But fear can be a powerful teacher, and right now it should be sending you a clear message. Don't overlook what could change your future. There's excitement too. The thrill of possibility. The idea that your next big win might come from your own coin jar. It feels almost cinematic, doesn't it? A hidden treasure in your home, waiting for someone who cares enough to search. And the best part? You're not too late. Unlike many collectibles that have peaked already, the 1979 penny market is still climbing. With increasing demand and fewer perfect coins emerging, the window of opportunity is narrowing. And that's where urgency comes in. The longer you wait, the more expensive these coins become, and the fewer high-value examples remain in circulation. This is the moment where you decide whether to act or ignore the chance entirely. But here's a small cliffhanger for you. The most valuable 1979 penny ever sold wasn't even certified when it was discovered. It wasn't sitting protected in a sleeve. It wasn't saved by a collector. It was casually tossed into circulation, used, spent, and passed through multiple hands before someone finally recognized what it really was. So the question becomes, how many more are still out there? The journey of wealth isn't always about earning more. Sometimes it's about recognizing what you already have. And right now, the 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny reminds us that hidden wealth is all around us. You just need the eyes and the willingness to find it. People who take action today position themselves for tomorrow's opportunities. People who hesitate watch those opportunities slip away. So here's the final question. The one that matters most. Will you check your pennies? Will you search your jars, drawers, old wallets, glove compartments, and boxes in the attic? Because the next rare 1979 penny worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, won't find itself. It needs someone like you, someone ready for more, someone who understands that wealth comes to those who look a little closer, act a little faster, and believe just a little harder. And who knows, maybe your story will be the next one collectors talk about. Maybe one day someone will say, remember that person who found $1 million penny? There's no reason that person can't be you. What if one tiny penny hiding in your home right now isn't just worth 1 cent, but is secretly worth nearly $1 million? Yes, you heard that correctly. Today, we're uncovering the true value of the 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that, under the right conditions, has stunned collectors and investors alike by selling for up to millions of dollars. with a current documented market value reaching an extraordinary $980,000. And the craziest part? Most people walk right past it without even noticing. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn why this unassuming coin has become one of the most explosive opportunities for everyday Americans looking to unlock hidden wealth, turn forgotten objects into life-changing assets, and finally step into the kind of financial freedom they've dreamed of for years. And trust me, once you understand the truth, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. It all begins with a story most collectors never hear. In 1980, the United States Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies without mint marks. To the average eye, the coin looked simple, ordinary, nothing worth a second glance. But what most people never realized was that within these millions of coins, a small number were struck under near-perfect conditions, using sharper dies, cleaner metal planchettes, and on equipment that, by sheer luck, created a level of detail and flawlessness so rare, it happens in only a fraction of mint production. These few coins, the ones that survived untouched and uncirculated, became the hidden elite of the 1980 penny world. They're the coins that grading companies, wealthy investors, and experienced collectors quietly chase behind the scenes. Why? Because quality is everything. In the world of rare coins, small differences become massive financial opportunities. And when the right 1980 penny surfaces, a coin with razor-sharp details, untouched copper luster, and near-flawless surfaces, it immediately becomes a high-stakes item. That's when the bidding wars begin. That's when wealthy collectors start raising paddles. And that's how a 1-cent coin explodes to $980,000 and beyond. Now, you might be wondering, why haven't I heard about this before? Why isn't this headline news? Well, think about it. If everyone knew their spare pennies could be worth this much, people would stop spending them. The banking system would grind to a halt, and we'd all start hoarding change instead of using it. Sometimes, life-changing information hides in plain sight simply because nobody expects a common object to carry uncommon value. And that's exactly why viewers like you, who take the time to learn and search, end up winning. But before we talk about what makes your penny potentially valuable, let's go deeper into the story you weren't supposed to know. In 1980, just as America was stepping into a new decade filled with economic uncertainties, inflation concerns, and technological change, the mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins efficiently. And efficiency comes at a cost. Dies wore out faster. Lines moved quicker. Mistakes were overlooked. And in that environment, anomalies happened. Some coins were struck stronger than others, some weaker, some sharper, some flawed. Among all that chaos, a few coins came out perfect. And perfection is what million-dollar coins are made of. Only the sharpest eyes and best experts can recognize the difference at first glance. That alone is enough to make collectors chase these rare examples with a mix of obsession and hunger. If you've ever seen a grown adult freeze at the sight of a copper coin under a bright light, trust me, they weren't admiring the artwork. They were calculating the house, the car, the retirement, all wrapped inside that coin. But here's where things get even more interesting. Right now, the rare coin market is surging. Economic uncertainty, rising inflation, and people looking for hard assets have pushed rare pennies into the spotlight. Investors who once bought gold are now turning to high-grade Lincoln cents because they're portable, discreet, and historically consistent in value growth. A single rare penny is easier to move, store, and sell than almost any other collectible. It's no coincidence that some of the wealthiest individuals own private collections worth millions. These coins aren't just collectibles, they're assets. And this is exactly where your opportunity begins. That 1980 penny sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten box could be one of the few survivors with the characteristics that make it extremely valuable. But here's the cliffhanger you need to pay attention to. Without the right knowledge, most people either ignore it, give it away, or worse, sell it for far less than its true value. And yes, that happens more often than you'd think. People unknowingly trade a fortune for a dollar bill every single day. So let's break down the essential traits that turn a 1980 penny from common to extraordinary. First, condition. You're looking for sharp details, especially around Lincoln's beard, hair, and the lettering. If these features look crisp, almost sculpted, that's your first sign of potential. Next, luster. $1 million penny still has its original shine, A bright copper glow that looks like it was minted yesterday. Then surfaces. You want minimal scratches, minimal spots, and absolutely no signs of circulation. And finally, I appeal. Yes, that's a real term. When a coin looks surprisingly beautiful at first glance, collectors take notice. Now, imagine you're checking your penny and you see all of these signs. What would you do? Panic? Dance? Call your accountant? Maybe all three. But before any of that, you need one more step: professional grading. This is where the magic becomes official. Only certified high-grade examples, especially those hitting the top of the grading scale, reach the record-breaking values we're talking about today. And here's something most sellers don't realize. Even a single grade difference can shift a coin's value from hundreds to thousands to life-changing money. But here's a twist that surprises everyone. Even coins that don't hit the million-dollar ranking can still bring in huge returns. A sharply struck 1980 penny in high grades can sell for thousands, sometimes tens of thousands. The demand is growing fast, and every month the market sees new record prices. So even if your penny isn't the absolute best of the best, it might still be worth far more than you ever imagined. Let's add a bit of humor here, because the situation deserves it. Isn't it funny how we stress over bills, budgets, and credit scores, while a tiny copper coin quietly judges us from a drawer saying, "If only you knew my worth"? It's almost poetic. But jokes aside, this is where the urgency comes in. Rare coins don't wait. Markets rise and fall. Opportunities come and go. What's valuable today may not be as accessible tomorrow, especially as more people wake up to the hidden wealth in their own homes. And right now, the 1980 penny market is on fire. Wealthy collectors are hungry. Auctions are competitive. Prices are climbing. The sooner you check your coins, the better your chances of capitalizing on this surge. Just imagine it for a moment. Imagine pulling out a jar of old pennies, thinking nothing of it, and then discovering a coin that turns into your dream home, your early retirement, your family's safety net, or your next big investment move. That's not fantasy, it's already happened to others. And the only reason it hasn't happened to you yet is simple. You haven't checked. Before we wrap up, here's the final cliffhanger. There's one more detail about the 1980 penny that most people don't know. Something that separates the ultra-rare examples from the rest. It's something subtle, something easy to miss, and something that has turned an ordinary penny into a nearly million-dollar treasure. And in our upcoming videos, we're going to uncover that secret, along with the truth about other common coins that may be hiding extraordinary value in your home right now. So if you're serious about finding wealth, about turning forgotten change into financial power, and about stepping into a lifestyle where opportunity is always within reach, make sure you stay with this journey. Your next great discovery could be as small as a penny, and worth more than you've ever imagined.